Hello everyone, and welcome to this educational presentation of how to become a more consistent trader in 4 simple steps. Now in today's educational presentation, if you look at this older chart here in EL, I'll show you how you could have become consistent in picking some very consistent places in which to enter, and I'll show you some places to enter that were actually even better than others. This is a simple 4-step process that is actually easy to apply with the aid of our new PTS Primo charts. That is the platform I designed with ProTrader strategies. That is the educational portal that makes trading simple. So it's really there to make trading really easy and simple so that you can apply this process and actually become a part of your trading decision process. So welcome once again. My name is Primo. I am the president and founder of Specialist Trading. I teamed up with ProTrader strategies about 9 years ago to simply educate traders around the world in over 115 countries and virtually every state in the United States. Our only goal is simply to educate you with the things that I've accumulated in my 41-year career. Now, I started my career out on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange. I was on the floor for 16 years, and 9 of those years I was a specialist. That's where we get the name Specialist Trading. A specialist is just someone who made markets in roughly about 50 or 60 stocks. So I made markets during the crash of '87, the bull market that followed. So I've been involved in every environment and every type of trading method you can think of. So in 41 years, I have learned what has worked in terms of consistency, and I've discovered what hasn't worked at all. So that's what we did when we teamed up with ProTrader strategies. We simply educate and mentor our students all the things that have shown high levels of consistency, and then work with you so that you can ultimately be in charge of your own trading. We're not here to sell you some $10,000, $20,000 system that never fails. We're not here to tell you what you should be buying today or selling today. We don't believe in that. We're here simply to educate you so that you can make those own decisions on your own, okay? Now today, you'll see, is devoted to teaching you a very simple process. But before we begin, as always, we ask that you please take a moment to view our required disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results using this 4-step technique. But please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. And please remember, all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. So as you're taking a brief moment to view our disclaimer, once again, I would like to take this time to invite each and every one of you to follow us on Twitter. I post daily information, anywhere from little bits of wisdom to actual signals that our strategies have generated, all for educational purposes, all to elevate your trading and to educate you on Twitter. Okay, so as I stated in the opening statement, we're a little bit different from other companies in that our only goal is simply to educate you. As you see here, my goal is not to force feed you signals the way some other websites do. My goal is not to tell you what the perfect market is. It could have been Bitcoin, it could have been futures, could have been currency pairs. We don't believe in that. My goal is just to teach you how to trade. Now, when I was struggling some 41 years ago, my mentors taught me the same things that I teach my students around the world. And the things that they taught me are still valid because I still use them on a daily basis. They have sustained my trading for over 4 decades. Hopefully, this Specialist Edge will be able to do the same for you. So if you've been struggling or if you're hitting a rough bump in the road now with your trading, you've come to the right place. We really strongly feel that we can help you get back on board to consistency. Now, since this is an educational presentation, we will take each and every one of your questions, but we like to do things a little bit differently here. If you have a question, please wait till the very end of today's class, probably in the next half hour. I promise I will get to each and every one of them, but we just don't want to stop on every slide to stop for 5 minutes and go over and answer a question. So many times your questions are answered on the next slide, so kindly wait till the very end, and I promise I'll get to your questions. The only one I will answer right now is this being recorded? Yes, it is. We record all of our webinars, so if you have to leave early or if you're having a little difficulty with your internet connection, don't worry, we will send you a link to this recording, okay? All right, so let's begin. We're going to be talking about strategy number 4. You've heard me speak about this. This is one of our most consistent methods. Now, when I first started trading this years ago on the floor, it was strictly designed for trading stocks and for getting in and out of stocks in like 5 minutes because, you know, we were on the floor and, you know, a long-term trade then was usually about 10 or 15 minutes. Usually didn't even hold anything overnight. So we were in and out of trades rather quickly. But don't worry, we've devised ways now so that this is not simply an intraday trading technique. This is something that can be held on for positions overnight, weeks, months, even years if you'd like. All right. So some of the highlights, it's for all traders, beginners to advanced. It does not matter if you've been trading for 20 minutes or 20 years. Everyone will get the same basic format, but then we work out from there. All right. If you're more experienced, we teach you more experienced ways to trade it. If you're just new to trading, we teach you the basic format and work with you in that direction. Okay. As I said, it was designed for traders looking to catch quick momentum moves. That's the initial way it was used, but we can have you in the trade weeks, months, years if you'd like. Now, its intensity level, if one was the most intense of all methods where you virtually could not leave your computer to go to the restroom, or 3 was the most relaxed where you just enter an order and walk away for a couple of days, it's right in the middle of very moderate number 2. It only uses one indicator, and that's going to be part of the process I share with you today. Now, the beauty of strategy 4 is that you can apply it to any time frame, any direction, and any market. So even though we say that it's called stock strategy number 4, it really is just strategy number 4 because we have students that only use this on currency pairs. We have students that only use it on Bitcoin. You know, my personal uses, I like to use it intraday trading of the Emini futures. So it does not matter what market, what time frame, if you're an investor, a swing trader, or an intraday tick trader. It makes no difference, all right? Now, if you are a member of the strategy number 4 course, you receive automatic buy and sell indications in the form of up and down green arrows. But please remember that these are strictly for educational purposes only. In other words, this is not a black box. We want you to understand and to become a part of the process. And the only way you can do that is by really fully understanding the main rules and then going over them and then checking your work. That's how we provide that for you by applying those up and down arrows. We want you to spot a strategy number 4 setup and then click on the arrows to see if you were right. All right. After a while, after you've been trading for a while, you probably won't even need the arrows. I don't even use them myself. I can know on a chart if a strategy number 4 signal has been set up or not. All right. Now, our edge here is consistency. Not every trade is a winner. That's okay. All right. Just as in the summer, not every day is 80, 85, 90 degrees. Sometimes you'll get a cold, windy, rainy day. That doesn't mean that there's something wrong. It means that it's just an aberration that usually if you have a consistent method, you'll be back on track in a couple of setups or so, all right? Now, we can't guarantee that, but it's been my experience in 41 years, also with our students and members around the world, that strategy number 4 is one of our most consistent methods to date. All right, so let's begin. And we're going to be talking about this 4-step process. And we're going to take you step by step and show you how simple it is the way I designed it with ProTrader strategies on our new platform. Because remember, the platform is simply there to make trading simple for you. All right, step number 1, choose the market you're interested in buying. Now, obviously, this goes without saying, you have to choose your market. But the reason why we say this is because we can apply this to virtually any market. If you're a tick trader, that's fine. Choose the tick chart or a 5-minute chart. If you're a currency pair trader, choose the currency pair, the euro dollar, Canadian dollar. If you're a future trader, choose the future you're interested in, or ETF. It makes no difference. So that's why we say choose the market. All right, so let's just choose a stock. And we're looking at an older chart of EL for educational purposes, okay? All right, now someone looking at this will say, well, yes, Steve, it's easy to see that this has been going up, but how would I have known where to buy? What if I would have thought it was topping out somewhere around here, and then it went higher? How do you know that? Well, this is how we make it simple on our platform. The first thing you want to do is go to step number 2 and click on the buy-sell line in the upper green strategy tab. This is our proprietary tool which tells you what side of the market you should be on. Should you be a buyer or a seller? So automatically you'll know whether you should be buying or selling. So we make it easy. Right here in the upper green strategy tab, you would simply click that on. First thing you do, and you see the different features and references, click on Fluid, and you'll see the screen change colors, okay? So what does this mean? Well, if price has a blue background, that means that price is in the buy zone, and it's okay to buy. You should be looking at this stock from a buyer's point of view, from a bias. It's that simple. Now, if price is in the red zone, well, that's the sell zone. So that's telling you that you should not be looking to buy anything. So just by looking at this, taking 1 or 2 seconds to look at this, where has price been this entire time? In the buy zone. So you see how easy trading is when you know how to listen to the market. You see, we don't have to listen to economic reports. We don't have to look at earnings. We don't have to look at what some guy's saying in a chat room or what the institutions are doing. All we have to do is look at the PTS Primo charting platform, apply the fluid buy-sell line, and we know if we have a buyer's bias or a seller's bias. It's that simple. You can do this with any stock, any time frame, any direction, any market. It makes no difference. Now, one thing to remember, this is not a strategy. This is just telling you whether you should be having a buyer's bias or a seller's bias, okay? So we know now, looking back in hindsight, even going back to February 2017, that we would have had a buyer's bias, okay? The entire time we've had a buyer's bias. We still need to add structure. In other words, all we've done is we've walked up to a river. We've seen which direction it's going. We've seen how strong the direction is, how strong the current is. And now we have to decide how we're either going to cross or go down the river. We have to decide by applying some structure, either a boat, a canoe, a raft. How are we going to navigate this? This is step number 3. We're only going to trade buy signals that have a steep upward sloping buy-sell line. All right, so that's the first thing. We're only going to go long when this slope is very steep and strong, and so far it's been the entire time. So this is giving us the assurance that it's okay to jump into the water. Now we add the structure with step 4. We're going to click on strategy number 4 in the upper green strategy tab. Once again, we just go to this tab, click on strategy number 4, and we click on signal arrows. Now, by this time in our online course, you would know just by studying what a strategy number 4 setup looks like and what to look for. But to check your work, you would simply click on signal arrows, and guess what? We had an abundance of strategy number 4 signals, okay? Look at all the chances you had to go long. Obviously, some of these setups were better than others. I'm going to share with you a technique that actually was told to us by our students around the world that has helped them tremendously. But the main thing we want to stress is that once you know what side of the market to be on, then you simply look for the slope of the fluid buy-sell line and then take signals that have a strong upward slope. Now, we can still use this if we want to go short. So let's look at some sell setups step by step. Step 1, choose the market you're interested in. It could be futures, commodities, Bitcoin, makes no difference. We're going to look at an older chart of OC, okay? Now, this stock was kind of heading and drifting downward to lower, and then it really fell out of bed here. How could we have taken advantage of this to the sell side? Well, the first thing we do is click on the buy-sell line in the upper green strategy tab. Because we know in hindsight, sure, it was going down, but how could we have known in advance that it was going down? Well, once you click on the buy-sell line, you'll given all these different options. Click on the fluid feature. And now we can see that this entire time, which zone was price in? It was in the sell zone. So did we have to look at earnings? Did we have to go to some chat room and find out what this guy, this master trader was doing? Did we have to look at what the institutions are doing? Absolutely not. The market was telling us that this is in the sell zone. It has a seller's bias. It wants to go lower. Don't buy this until you have consecutive closes above in the blue buy zone. And we never did. So trading is really easy when you know what side of the market to be on. Okay? But we still have to add some structure. We still have to know how strong this current is to the downside. So we only want to trade sell signals that have a steep downward sloping buy-sell line. And that started right here, okay? Up until this point, we were kind of going sideways to lower, but at this point, we really accelerated to the downside. So these are where you're going to find the most opportune places to sell, because it's basically like getting into a river with a strong current. There's a lot of momentum behind you. So that's what you're looking for. Now we have to build our boat. We have to apply some structure. So step number 4 tells us to click on strategy number 4 in the green upper strategy tab. All we do is click on strategy number 4. Once again, by this time, you should know what to look for. Now, myself, just looking at this chart, I know where a strategy number 4 setup is. I can see 2 or 3 of them right now. We want to get you to that level. But while you're learning, you need to check your work. That's why we devised this on the platform, so that you could check your work on your own. Kind of like having an open book test. Okay, so Let's say you have an idea where some strategy number 4 setups are starting here at this strong downward slope. You would check your work by clicking on strategy 4 tab, clicking on signal arrows, and guess what? You were right. There was an abundance of them all right here. And ultimately, you could have captured it right before this down steep slope. Okay, so that's the 4-step process. Let's look at some recent examples. Those first 2 examples are strictly for educational purposes. The charts were a little older. That's okay. We just want to learn the process. Now let's see how this same 4-step process could have got us into trades, both long and short, within the last month, within the last couple of weeks, some within the last week, okay? I'll show you some examples right now. An important note to remember. Students have reported that some of their most consistent setups are signals generated closest to or touching the buy-sell line. So while you're learning this process, we would suggest, it's not a requirement, we would suggest looking at the setups that occur either closest to or touching the buy-sell line. So I'm going to share with you the majority of those setups and how they look. Let's look at this first example in letter M, okay? Now, here are 2 examples, a sell example that did not work and a buy example that did work. How could this process have helped us? Well, we know that we only want to buy when we have a strong upward sloping, and we've had a pretty strong upward sloping buy-sell line here. And as you can see, if this is sloping flat to upwards, you don't want to take this trade. Remember, if we're selling, we want to see the slope going down. Is this slope going down? No. So you would not have taken that trade and therefore would not have lost. But you would have taken this trade. And guess what? Look how close to it's actually touching the buy-sell line. So this was a high probability setup, and you could have taken an exit here if you want, or gotten back in and taken a higher exit. Now, I can't give away all the rules now. I'm sure when we get to the question and answer, you'll say, well, Steve, where do I exit? That's all in the course. We can't give you that information right now. It wouldn't be fair to the people who have already purchased this course. But don't worry. In the course, we don't leave you hanging. We tell you exactly all the different variables you have for exiting, all the different variables you have for entries, all the different variables you have for stop placement. Let's look at another example in the QQQs. Here's a perfect example of what our students were telling us about taking setups closest to the rising buy-sell line, okay? Now we have 2 valid strategy number 4 signals here. They went up a little bit, but most likely you would not have exited that quickly, and then look what happened. You would have been stopped out. But look at the 3rd signal. Right here, touching the upward sloping buy-sell line. And that was actually a very high probable setup. So this is what we mean by when our students have reported back to us that they have found that the best setups for them are when price is closest to or touching the rising buy-sell line. Now this can work as well to the downside. Now we have a strong, steep sloping downward slope in the buy-sell line. And we have 3 sell setups. Now not one of them was touching or even very close to, but they still managed to be some nice trades. So it doesn't mean they have to. But in the beginning, while you're learning, you may want to stick only with those setups that are closest to and or touching. Either way, Halliburton has been in the sell zone for months now, coming into August. So if you've lost money in this stock, trading this stock, or if it's in your long-term portfolio, I mean, wouldn't it be much better just to use this tool and listen to the market? So much of losses could be, alleviated if you just were on the right side. This is what the buy-sell line can help you with. Let's look at FISV. All right, this is another perfect example. Price is in the buy zone. We have a strong upward sloping buy-sell line in the fluid feature. And look at this buy setup. You think you could have taken advantage of that nice run-up. Now price comes back down. We have a close below, a close above, 2 closes below, but then a close above. So this is still valid. You need anywhere from 3 to 5 consecutive closes either above or below to tell you that the trend has changed. So when you oscillate back and forth, it's not the greatest of signs or setups, but it's still not enough. And you can still see that the slope is moving upward. So it's still okay, a little more aggressive, a little bit more advanced, but this is still a valid signal. And then look what happened after that. Now we've just had a couple of buy setups here. This is a little bit more advanced. Remember, we are further away from the rising slope, so you may not want to take these. Let's look at when, all right? A very strong downward slope. Now, this is a perfect example of what we've been told. Obviously, we should be in a seller's mode. Now, we had two signals generated here, a third generated here, a fourth generated here, and they all would have generated and ended up in losses. But look at this signal. This was the closest to the downward sloping, and this one moved well to the downside. So that would have been the one you would have wanted to take. So this is what we mean by, fine-tuning your entries a little bit by using the entries touching or closest to the downward sloping buy-sell line. Here's a great example in letter S, and a totally different price range, a totally different stock, but it makes no difference. Even if you're trading a $2 or $3 stock, you can see the same process still works. Now, this is a $5 stock. You've got a nice upward sloping move, and here's the first buy signal. You could have gone long at 570, and even though it's only about a 50-cent move, that's a good percentage move in a $5 stock. If you had thousands of shares on a half a point, that can still make you some good money in 3 days. Here's another great example in Goldman Sachs how once you start getting that strong downward sloping, you only want to take the signals that are closest to. Here would have been the greatest place to take two sell signals, and look at the nice move to the downside. You could have elected to take either one of these, but they're not the best of signals. But this one, very near to the downward slope, would have generated another nice move to the downside. Okay, 12 to 13 points in the next week or two. How about letter K? Okay. This is a perfect example. You have a very strong upward slope. Nothing happens until we come down and touch the strong upward slope, and that generates a buy signal, roughly at $70. And in a couple of weeks, you've got 4 or 5 points to the upside. How about letter T? Now, this is just an abundance of great sell signals with a strong downward sloping move. Anyone who has been long this stock is losing money. You are swimming upstream when you buy when a stock is in the sell zone. You are swimming upstream when you sell when a stock is in the buy zone. That's the beauty of our buy-sell line. It automatically tells you what side of the market to be on, and then you can adjust accordingly. Here we have some great sell signals all touching the buy-sell line, the downward sloping line. Here we have another one very close. Here we have 3 that really didn't work, and they were further away from the downward slope. But now we have one that's very close and another that worked just fine. Okay, HBQ, we see here that we have a nice upward slope, and this is a perfect example of 2 buy setups that come down, touch the upward sloping fluid buy-sell line. Another one gives you a second chance to get in, and now the big move occurs to the upside. Now, this just happened recently in PG. We have a really nice buy setup right here. It came very close to this strong upward sloping buy-sell line, and we've just gotten 2 more buy signals. So I would not recommend taking those because they're further away unless you are a more advanced trader and you don't mind the risk included or involved in that. But this was a perfect setup at the end of July to go long, roughly about 79, and now the stock is up about 5 points higher or even higher than that. Now, let's look at some different time frames because we know not everyone just trades daily time frames. So let's look at a weekly bar of Apple. Now, Apple, regardless of what's been going on in the market, continues to go higher and higher. What if you're an investor? Well, the same process can be applied. It makes no difference if we're looking at daily bars or weekly bars. What do? We apply the buy-sell line fluid feature. We look for that strong upward slope, and we've had a strong upward slope since September 2017. And then we apply strategy number 4 the same way. Now, if we want to be a little more conservative while we're learning, we only want to take the signals that are closest to or touching the upward sloping buy-sell line. And this one would have been a great buy right here in February of this year. And then you had another one here in April of this year. And look at the nice rise you had after that. That was a weekly chart in Apple to the upside. How about a weekly chart in GE to the downside? Okay? Same process applies. Nothing changes because we changed time frames. Great sell signals right here that could have taken advantage of this nice strong move to the downside. Those sell signals were a year ago. How about a monthly chart? Now the market continues to go up over the long term. Even though we have some swings back and forth, and even though, in the short term, it may be scary every once in a while, if you look at a monthly chart of the spiders, which represents the S&P 500, we continue on our upward rise. So we can apply the same process if we're an investor. What do? We apply the buy-sell line. Going back 5 years to August of 2013, we've been in the buy zone this entire time. So don't let anyone ever tell you, well, boy, I missed that. How did I know it was going to go up? Well, we do not have any idea how high the market will go up, but we've known 5 years ago that we were in the buy zone. So the only thing we should be looking at in terms of the spiders on a monthly time frame is a buyer's bias. There's no reason we would ever consider selling this. So now that we know that, we see that we have a strong upward bias in the fluid slope. So we simply apply strategy number 4 and look for a setup that is closest to the rising slope. Now these two were far away, and look what happened. Not much happened, and then you most likely would have been stopped out or had to hold on for a good 6 months or so to a losing position. If you waited for this setup close to the rising buy-sell line, well, it's off to the races. For 2 years, you've been going straight up. All right, so those are weekly and monthly bar charts. What about an hourly chart? All right, we all know that Facebook has had a terrible month. The bad news came out on it, and it really dropped in 1 day. Let's say you're an intraday trader. Well, on an intraday basis, this stock on an hourly time frame would be in the sell zone. So all we tell our students is there's no reason to look at a higher time frame to determine what the lower one is doing. Just trade each individual time frame for what it is. In other words, if I'm trading a daily bar of Facebook, I don't need to know what the weekly bar is. And conversely, if I'm trading an hourly bar, as we see here of Facebook, I don't need to know what the daily is doing. Just take each individual time frame for what it is. So as we can see here on the 16th, we are below the downward sloping fluid buy-sell line. We have 2 sell signals. Now the first one came rather close, but the second one wasn't, but they still generated some very nice downward moves if you're intraday trading on an hourly basis. So nothing changes because we change time frames. And nothing changes if there's a news event. For example, Yahoo Finance reported on the 16th that JCPenney plunges to the lowest levels since the Great Depression. Now, shares of JCP sank below $2 for the first time on Thursday after it forecast a wider than expected full-year loss and posted disappointing results on the back of price cuts across product lines. The company shares tumbled 26% to 1.78. So that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad news. Anyone taking that? The only problem is most people will see that and they'll say, boy, I have JCPenney in my account, my long-term fund, and I can't get out of it. It's too late now. Well, what if you were looking for places to get out? Here's where the news came out. All you have to do is go through the same process, apply the buy-sell line, click on fluid, and you would have known well in advance that this stock is in the sell zone, okay? Even though we had little blips above, remember you need 3 to 5 closes, consecutive closes above to tell you that you've changed the zone. And so far, we only had maybe 1 close here and then 2 closes here. That's not enough. We had 1 close here and then look what happened. Now all we have to do is apply our structure, strategy number 4, signal arrows, and look at all the chances you had to sell. Let's say you were long the stock and you're just looking for places to get out. Well, you could have used this very first one right here, and you could have got and saved yourself, a good 2 points roughly. So it makes no difference if we're looking at a $3 stock going to the downside or a more expensive stock like Nike hitting all-time highs. Nike's flying high. 2 Wall Street analysts raised their rating on the sneaker giant on Monday, August the 20th, this last week, sending Nike shares to an all-time high. Shares of the Beaverton, Oregon company jumped plus 3.1% to 82.18. So we're just looking at a $5, or I should say a $2 stock. Let's look at an $82 stock. All right? Here's where the news came out. The way most traders would trade, or their broker will call them up and say, boy, there's some great news just came out on Nike. You may want to think about investing in the company. It really looks good. This could be a $100, $200 stock. All right? This is the way most people will invest. They listen to someone or something else tell them what to do. There's no reason to do that. You can take charge of your own investing, of your own trading, put it in your own hands. That's why we devised the PTS Primo charting platform, so that you can make your own decisions. What's the first thing you do in this 4-step process? click on buy sell line to tell you what side of the market to be on. Once you do that, you click on fluid, and you can see that, well, I don't need the news to tell me this is going up because Nike has been telling me it's been going up for the last couple of months. So there's no reason to wait for a news event or to wait for my broker to call me up or to wait for some guy in a chat room or to wait for the earnings to come out. There's absolutely no reason. I know in advance, months ago, in July and June, July, that I should be a buyer. But just because price is in the blue buy zone does not mean we just buy at the market. I wouldn't suggest that. That's just like jumping in the river without any clear direction of where you want to go. You don't know how deep it is. You don't know if there's rapids in front of you. You don't know, how to swim. You need a little structure. Now, we have a very strong upward slope in this. So we want to take any signals in strategy number 4 right here where we have this strong upward slope, preferably close to here. Now, I can see that there are strategy number 4 buy signals, but while you're learning, you click on strategy 4, click on the signal arrows to check your work, and guess what? We had 1, 2, 3, 4. These were further away, so they would not have been taken according to what most of our students suggest. But this one would have fit in with their recommendation, and look at that very nice buy you could have had going up. Okay? Let's look at some different markets, because up until now we've just been looking at stocks. Let's look at some different markets entirely. Let's look at gold, okay? The ETF that represents gold. We know a lot of people like to invest in gold. Gold has been having a very tough time as of late. A lot of people say, boy, I'm stuck with this thing. When all that stuff was going on about the Korea crisis, I went long gold, and now nothing's happening with it. I thought it was going to go up. Well, could the market have told us if we should be investing or not? Well, let's see. Click on the buy-sell line, and yes, we've known since April that we should not be in this investment. Why? Because we're in the reddish-orange sell zone. Now, we're kind of drifting lower, but at this point, we start to really accelerate to the downside. So we just apply strategy number 4 and look at all the sell signals. Do you think you could have taken advantage of any of these? This would have been probably the most opportune one right here, the closest to the downward sloping one. But these could have been taken advantage of as well. It's up to you. But do you see how we did this all without having to look at what's going on in the world, economic crises, what's going on with our foreign policies, what's going on with what we think is going to be happening. You don't have to stipulate and have to use discretion. It's right there in front of you. So this was in the gold ETF, GLD. Let's look at the Emini S&P. What if you like to intraday trade the way I like to? Okay, well, we're looking at a 30-minute chart of the Emini. Now we have a really nice uptrend here, and then it stops and then goes down. So how can this stuff help? You say, Steve, well, sure, so far you've shown me some real strong trends, but what happens when the trend changes? Well, remember, our techniques are not designed to get you in at the bottom, to get you out at the top. They're just designed for consistency. Consistency means we want a 2-step forward, 1-step back approach. We want to know that, sure, we may have losses from time to time, but we want a plan that is consistent that will be able to make that back, hopefully sooner than later. So we apply the buy-sell line. We see that we had a really strong upward slope in the fluid buy-sell line. So at this point, all we're taking are buy signals. And look at all the nice buy signals here. But what happened when the slope changed? Well, since we're in the sell mode, we're only going to take sell signals. Now, sure, you may have had 1 or 2 losses while the trend was changing. Do you think you could have been able to recoup that on this trade or maybe this one? So that's the beauty of a consistent method. 2-step forward, 1 step back. How about the Forex markets? Anybody here trade currency pairs? Here's a chart, a 4-hour chart, and the euro dollar. All right, the euro dollar, looking on hindsight, has been going lower. Someone say, well, yeah, Steve, sure. It's easy to say it's been going lower. I want to know where around here that it was going lower. Okay, apply the buy-sell line, and guess what? I could have told you up here when they were going sideways that this stock, or I should say this currency pair, wanted to go lower. Why? Because it's in the sell zone. See, there's no reason to overcomplicate your trading. The reason why most traders fail is because they overcomplicate their trading. Take it from someone who's been there. You have too many things you're listening to, too many so-called trading gurus, too many indicators, too many news events, too many economic reports. It's just silly. There's no reason to use those things. And if you recall, at the very beginning of the presentation, I said, Our goal is to teach you all the things I've accumulated in my 41-year career that have shown high levels of consistency. All right, my goal is not to sell you a $10,000 system that supposedly never fails. We don't believe in that, but I'm just trying to share with you things that are very consistent. So look at this. Don't you think this is consistent? I've just shared with you different time frames, different markets, different directions. And look at the euro dollar on a 4-hour time frame. It was not only telling you, it was screaming that it wanted to go lower. Now remember, the buy-sell line does not predict how low something will go or how high something will go. All it does is tell you what side of the market you should be on. So it was telling us well in advance that we should be having a seller's bias in the euro dollar on a 4-hour time frame. So once we know that, we find that we have a very strong downward sloping fluid buy-sell line. So we just apply our structure, strategy number 4, and there was a sell signal right here. Now, unfortunately, it didn't get all the way up there, but if you had elected to take this trade, you still would have had a very nice setup. All right, so let's recap before we go to questions and answers. Remember, in this 4-step process, step number 1, choose your market. You can choose any market, any time frame, any direction. At the end of this presentation, you'll see that it says stock strategy number 4. Don't be fooled by that, because when we first started marketing this strategy, it was mainly just for stocks, but our students have told us that it works in every market, every time frame, every direction. That's why we say choose your market. Step number 2, click on the buy-sell line, and you see how easy it is to find out whether you should be a buyer or a seller. That's why we call it the buy-sell line. Now click on the fluid feature, because the fluid feature will tell you the momentum of the slope. It will tell you how strong the current is in the river that you're trying to navigate. So this is the beauty of our fluid feature. It not only tells you what side of the market to be on, it tells you how strong that market is. Does it have a strong downward movement or a strong upward movement? And then finally, add your structure. Build your boat in the form of strategy number 4. This is our most consistent method to date. You've seen examples in all markets and all time frames. I even showed you losses, okay, just to show you that not every trade is a winner. But I showed you those on purpose to show you that maybe 1 or 2 setups later, how it was able to recoup those losses, all right? And I showed you how to fine-tune your entries so that maybe you could avoid some losses by only taking those trades closest to and or touching the strong sloping fluid moving average, okay? That's the fluid feature. This is all made simple for you by applying the PTS Primo charts. I devised this with ProTrader strategy so that we could take the difficulty out of your trading, so that you wouldn't be sitting there and saying to yourself, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. I guess I'll go to that chat room and find out what they think, or I guess I'll just pay this guy to tell me on the service what I should buy or sell. You should never get to that point, because basically what you're telling the markets is, I'm not good enough to trade on my own, so you have to tell me. I have no experience. My self-esteem as a trader is nothing, so you do it for me. And that, I can't think of being in any endeavor, any business, any relationship coming into that with that attitude. You have to believe in yourself, and the only way you can do that is through education, and that is what we provide. So we have a great attendee discount for all the people sharing this video today and in attendance. It's our strategy number 4 course, okay? You're going to get instant course access. Once again, you see stock strategy, but don't worry. It can be applied to any market, any time frame. You're going to get all the entries, all the different entry variables, all the different exit variables, and all the different stop placement. You're going to get the educational signal alerts as well. And included in this, you'll get mentoring correspondence with yours truly. You can email me for any reason, any question, whenever you'd like. But we're not going to stop there. We're throwing in 6 months free PTS Primo charting platform. We just wouldn't give you strategy number 4 without giving you the capability to use this 4-step process. We want you to learn. It's in everyone's best interest if they elevate the trading game by learning how to trade. There's not just a finite number of wins for a day. It's just never ending. So why wouldn't we want to teach you how to do this? Okay, there's more than enough wins for everybody to go around. So it's in your best interest to be able to execute this on the PTS Primo charting platform. This is a $900 value, 6 months free. Let me share with you what you get. Obviously, you're going to get our proprietary strategy number 4, all the rules, all the up and down arrows, You're also going to get the enhanced buy-sell line feature with the fluid, the background, the 50-period simple moving average, and the color ribbon features, all included. You're also going to get 2 short-term trending techniques. These are trending techniques based off of price bars that tell you what the short-term trend is. One of the best things about this 6 months package is you're getting our signal scanner. All right, I love our scanner. I use it on a daily basis because it really helps me simplify things. When I first started trading, I literally had to look through on a nightly basis thousands of charts. I looked at the S&P 500, the NASDAQ. Well, guess what? I can do the same thing in just a matter of minutes with our new signal scanner. All you do is click on Scan in the Strategy number 4 tab. This drop-down page will appear. You'll click on Load Symbols. We provide you with a symbol list. You can create your own basket of stocks or whatever you're interested in, and it appears in a matter of seconds. Then all you have to do is click on Scan. And in a matter of seconds, you'll see either a series of green or red horizontal bars. The green ones mean those are buy signals for the next day. The red ones mean those are sell signals. It's that simple. You can look through the S&P, the NASDAQ in a matter of minutes and know what the setups are for the next day. And it'll all be there on a chart in front of you. You can double click on the stock and a chart will appear. So that's included with this. We're also going to give you 90 of the most prominent and popular technical indicators so you can tinker under the hood if you like to experiment and build your own strategies. Now we realize we have a technical bias. That's okay. And remember, our goal is not to force feed you signals and tell you how to trade. Our goal is simply to teach you how to trade. But if you feel you must look at fundamental news, economic reports, that's okay. It's not our job to tell you not to look at that. So we've provided you with free Bloomberg TV. We have a media page where all you have to do is click that on, and on the PTS Primo platform, a live page comes down with live Bloomberg TV. So any economic report, any earnings, any news events that are happening live, you'll be able to see as they're happening. That's also included. And lastly, this comes with personalized tech support. People rave about our tech support. We have a great person doing it for us, Patricia, if you've met her already through online, her help. People say that in a matter of moments, all the problems are resolved or any questions. So it's a great tech support. All you have to do is contact them, and most of the time your issues are resolved in a matter of minutes. So this is a great offer, 6 months free, including the strategy number 4 and the 4-step process. Now, this is a great offer. This is our strategy number 4, 6 months PTS Primo Charting Platform Special. A year from today, you will have wished you took this course. If you're struggling, if you're having a difficult time as of late, this can really get your trading back on track. So why not invest in yourself? Take the next step. All right? Now, this course usually costs anywhere from $1,600. Now, only $995, and included with that 6 months of the PTS Primo Charting Platform, we're also giving you payment plans. So if you can't come up with $995, we understand. For a small deposit, you can still be up and running in a matter of minutes, ASAP. So you don't have to come up with that lump sum. You can come up with a small deposit and pay on a payment plan. Here's how to take advantage of this. Contact ProTrader Strategies. I developed the platform with them, and they handle all of the discounts, all of the payment plans, and all the tech support. You can email them at trading@ProTraderStrategies.com. I would probably suggest the best thing to do is to contact them directly at area code 310-598-6677. And they can set up that payment plan for you, or they can answer any question you may have about tech support. I know some people are saying, well, Steve, what if I'm happy with my platform that I already have? I already have maybe NinjaTrader or TradeStation or Thinkorswim. Well, you're going to get the platform either way. You don't need it. We can still adjust the add-ons. We provide you with add-ons that you can apply to those platforms, but you just won't be able to have the same simplicity in the process of the fluid buy-sell line, which is only on the platform, okay? So we want you to be able to apply that 4-step process. With another platform, you'll get the up and down arrows. You won't be able to apply that 4-step process that I went over on today, okay? Now, there is the link you see at the very bottom. Now, you can go there for more information. If you want to go to a live link, it's in the chat box. I've just posted it in the far right-hand corner, and that will take you to that same page, okay? I want to thank you for waiting to ask any questions. If you happen to have a question now, please go to your question and answer box and type it in, and I will be happy to answer anything. A lot of people are asking about, once again, the different platforms. Let me just give you an overall list of the major platforms that if you do have and you're currently using, you can get the add-ons, meaning the up and down arrows for this. That is NinjaTrader, TradeStation, MT4, Metastock, Sierra Charts, and you can also use Thinkorswim. But with Thinkorswim, because they don't allow us to put our add-ons on there, what they do is they will allow us to use their data. So they say, why don't you use our data? They let us split the data on a free NinjaTrader platform. So our NinjaTrader platform will have all the information on there for you, all the up and down arrows, and you can just toggle back and forth onto that. But that's why we say it's so much simpler with the PTS Primo charting platform, because you'll get that for 6 months, and there's nothing you have to do but simply click on buy sell line, click on strategy number 4, click on scan. Remember, if you continue to use your own platform, you won't get those same operations and features, okay? Someone's asking, does this work on currency pairs? Sure it does. I showed a couple of examples on currency pairs. One was the last one on the euro dollar. It works on any market, any time frame. Remember, I told you most of you would get confused at the very end. It said stock strategy. But don't worry, it was first devised for stocks, but trust me, it can be applied to any market, any time frame. That's why we say it's our most consistent, because it can transfer so easily onto any market and or time frame. Now, let's see, a lot of people are asking about, let's see, the time frame. I got that. Yeah, that's basically it. Most of the questions are the same. Remember, if you have any questions concerning the payment plan, some of the people are asking about a payment plan, just contact ProTrader Strategies. There's absolutely no obligation. They have trading consultants manning the phones right now. If you want to talk to a trading consultant just to get an idea about a payment plan, feel free to call up. That's my recommendation, because you'll be able to get information and decide for yourself. My only suggestion would be not to sleep on this or and say to yourself, well, that seems like a great idea, but let me wait. I'll watch the video a couple more times. Maybe I'll decide next week. Because most likely this offer will be gone next week and it'll be going back to a $1,600 offer, okay? So you don't want to miss this chance to get on board. We've only got a good 4 months left in the year. It's about time to take your trading to the next level. So take advantage of this great opportunity. I would love to mentor you in strategy number 4 and in this 4-step process, okay? Okay, that's about all we have for questions. I want to thank you so much for attending today. As you take one last look at our disclaimer, I would like to say thank you so much for attending. I hope you got something out of this. But most importantly, I look forward to become students of mine in the strategy number 4 course, along with that, becoming students and members of the PTS Primo charting platform. Thank you so much for attending. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.